Kerbal Space Program 2 had so many promises that it never kept, including the addition of interstellar travel, with a second star system called DebDeb that players would eventually be able to visit. While this sadly never happened because of the whole, we did get snippets of what this system would entail, like what some of its planets and moons would be called and what they'd look like, for example. And with these scraps of knowledge, coupled with a healthy dose of data mining KSP2, a dedicated team of modders has brought DebDeb to life in KSP1. Yes, a true secondary star system complete with the worlds we were promised would be explorable in KSP2. And yes, you heard me right, this isn't a system replacement mod. We still have Kerbin and the rest of the stock system, but we can now travel the vast distance to DebDeb, something that can be made a lot easier thanks to one little optional addition that the modders placed somewhere hidden in the Kerbal system, but more on that later. I of course had to check this mod out, as I'm sure many of you felt when you heard about it, so let's go exploring the worlds that never were, but now sort of are. Now, the recommendation is to use future tech parts mods to give you much more efficient engines to more easily cover the vast interstellar distances that Promised Worlds delivers. However, I never like showcasing more than one new mod in my videos, per video, and I didn't want a fancy parts mod to overshadow this incredible Promised Worlds mod, and so we're going to go with a good old stock SSTO. To which you might be saying, hang about, that's surely going to severely restrict where you can go, since SSTOs have vastly lower ranges compared to the vehicles that can be assembled in orbit. And I would say yes to that, but this is no ordinary SSTO. Just like how the creators of Promised Worlds used a little bit of dark arts of data mining on KSP2, I'll be using a little bit of dark arts on KSP1, namely overclocking the Cal controller. With a little bit of finagling with it, we can give this craft unlimited range and also crazy thrust levels to give us warp-like capabilities, letting us hop from planet to planet easily and super quickly so I can cover as much ground as possible. Or as much space as possible. I don't know. Anyway, I think this is coming together really well. If you couldn't tell, because, I don't know, you're not looking at the screen or something, this is a Mark III size SSTO, fitted out with ample crew capacities that our 4 Kerbals have plenty of space to stretch out during their long interstellar adventure. Right now, as you can see, the main construction phase of this SSTO is complete. I'm just shuffling around some of the wing pieces and adding things like flags and ladders. Of course, I haven't yet added the engines that are going to power this craft, but all in good time, all in good time. Well, actually, looking at the screen, it looks like I've already added the mainsail engine inside that cargo ramp. And oh look, I've now added 2 spider engines to the side of the fuselage. So I guess let's just go on to how this SSTO is going to work. Though I'm not going to go into the specifics of how the Cal overclocking is going to work. I made a video less than a year ago explaining how Cal overclock SSTOs can be made, so I'll put a link in the description if you want to check that out to figure out exactly how this exploit works. But essentially, right, there are going to be 4 main engines that power this craft. So first up, again, inside the rear cargo bay and occluded by the ramp piece and not in use, is a mainsail engine that'll be our main engine when flying around in general, for want of better phrasing. We also have a third engine, which won't provide any thrust, but will instead be part of our Cal overclock to manually keep the fuel tanks at full capacity. Finally, there are the 2 spider engines that'll serve as our warp engines, providing crazy levels of thrust to let us cover vast distances very quickly, ironically, given that the spider engine is one of, if not the weakest engine in the game. Such is the power of Cal overclocking, I suppose. But since the spider engine is kind of weedy looking, I did add those 2 Star Trek style nacelles to either side of the SSTO so that when we're doing, warp burns with those spider engines, those nacelles will light up in bright blue, just like the Star Trek engines, to kind of make the whole concept of us doing warp burn things a bit more believable. But the build is complete, so there is the SSTO on the runway with our brave Kerbinauts on board, ready to travel vast distances through space, risking everything from explosions, crashes, and krakens. A far cry from the dangers that I face when traveling. The hardest thing for me is the old language barrier issue, but luckily, in this day and age, there are some amazing tools to help with this, like Mondly, today's sponsor, and right now, they're running an incredible back-to-school sale where you can save 65% off lifetime access to all 41 languages when you sign up through my link mondly.app/MattLowne, and that's lifetime access too. Mondly is in the top 5 language learning apps audience worldwide with over 125 million downloads for good reason. You can practice real conversations with Mondly's chatbot, which gives you instant feedback on your pronunciation. Lessons are recorded with fluent native speakers so that you're not just learning the words, you're also learning the right accent and tone from the start. And if you're busy, the hands-free mode lets you keep learning while you're cooking, exercising, or commuting. So whether you're picking up language for travel, brushing up on your French, or diving into a less common language like Farsi or Finnish, Mondly has you covered. Go to mondly.app/Matt Lowne to grab that 65% off lifetime deal while the back-to-school sale lasts. The link will be in the description and pinned comment below. And we are in the air, beginning our very, very, very long trip to the DebDeb system. I haven't yet brought attention to just how long this video is, but yeah, it's going to be a long old one, which is why I've tried to take as many steps as possible to try and speed up different steps of the mission, including, of course, using a Cal overclocked trick. I don't know if it's really considered a Kraken drive. I guess it's essentially close enough to being a Kraken drive that we could just call it a Kraken drive. But my understanding of what a Kraken drive is like an exploit of the physics engine. So, for example, having two docking ports oppose each other and then the magnetic force between the two pulls the craft forward. Whereas this isn't really a Kraken drive, like we are using actual rocket engines to propel the craft forwards, but it just has unlimited fuel essentially, and we can set the thrust levels to whatever we want. So again, I did put a link in the description to the, I don't want to say tutorial, but the last video I made of a craft using this exploit, where I spent a lot more time talking through exactly how to set the Cal drive overclock up and, you know, how it works and all that. But I could essentially just quickly summarize it. So basically, we have the mainsail engine. That isn't part of the K drive. That's just like our general purpose engine for doing just general burns, I guess. But the other engines are part of the Cal drive. So we have that third engine. It's pointing kind of backwards as if it were like a real engine, if that makes sense. But it doesn't matter where it's pointing, basically. We can have it pointing in any direction. But on the Cal controller, when we throttle up, the third engine actually produces negative thrust, which doesn't actually affect our velocity, like it doesn't make us go backwards, but what it does do is refill the fuel tanks, because the fuel tanks are like, oh, it's like negatively drained, therefore it must be being filled, so that keeps our fuel levels topped up. Interestingly, if I have maximum throttle applied, then actually the third engine doesn't provide the negative thrust, because basically it's only the middle of the Cal controller editing timeline that you just watch some of the video I made explaining how this works. But yeah, for full throttle it doesn't actually refill the tanks, which is why occasionally you might notice the craft suddenly runs out of fuel and then I throttle down a little bit and the fuel tanks instantly fill back up. So that's that. The other two engines that are part of the K drive are the Spider engines. For a Cal drive like this, you need a low thrust engine because the thrust levels you get are so insane. My first attempt at making a Cal drive craft like this used the Skiff engine, which itself is a pretty weak engine, to be honest, and even throttling it up to 1%, the whole craft just ripped itself apart from the forces. So you've got to use a really weak engine like the Spider. So I got two Spiders set to like 1% throttle. I'll change that at various points throughout the video. But essentially, you do the opposite of what you do for the third control, which, well, you don't have to use the third engine, any engine, to refill the tanks. Basically, you can just like take the Cal controller editing timeline and just whack the thrust up to be insane percentages, so that just throttling up a tiny bit, they give insane thrust. That's a summation of how this craft works. Now, you might be wondering, what is this planet Dres? Why have they added this planet to the game? Because this isn't part of stock KSP. And actually, you might be interested to learn that there is, in fact, if you go in stock Kerbal Space Program, go on the map screen, there is, in fact, a planet called Dres in between the orbits of Juna and Jool. Who knew, eh? But what the devs of the Promised Worlds mod have added is this thing orbiting Dres. I feel like I should have mentioned the weird way in which I got to Dres. Because we have essentially unlimited range and we have insane thrust levels, I didn't do like a normal Omen transfer. I just pointed towards Dres and burned. We went there really fast, and so we got to go kind of a dumb way. Again, I mentioned earlier, this is a long old video. We're not even 10 minutes into the commentary yet, so we've got to kind of keep things, keep the pace up. I don't really know how this is going to go. The last super long commentary video I did was my Char Minus 5 video, and I think I managed to keep the sanity fairly well controlled, actually, but you never quite know. I'm recording this video super late on. It's currently 20 past 7 in the evening on Friday. My hope is that this video goes live in, like, I don't know, midday tomorrow. So how many hours is that? Not many hours away. And this is like, again, it's a 4K video, a very long video, and I got my color corrections, and it's all, as you can see, a lot of the footage is sped up, which eats into CPU time. So yeah, it's all kind of very last minute, to be honest. So what was how, I don't remember how I got into that tangent, but anyway, as I say, like, yeah, it's a longer video, so I'm hoping I can keep things together. I do have things written down as references that I can talk about as and when we get there, but we haven't got there yet. So we've got a little satellite dish on board so we can communicate with the KSC. I don't know why I added that, because when we go to the DebDeb system, which is so many light years away, I guess I don't know what the exact actual distance is from the DebDeb system to Kerbin in this mod, but it's a long old way. Anyway, I've been waffling on so long, I haven't even addressed the thing on screen that you're probably all screaming and saying, Matt, what is that? Basically, by default, in order to get to the DebDeb system with the Promised Worlds mod, you have to just, you know, fly there, and it takes ages. That's why the recommendation is to use kind of Interstellar parts mods, things like that. But you can go into the game data settings, open up the config file, and type in wormhole equals true. And when you do that, it places this wormhole in the orbit of Dres. You do need to download a couple of mod dependencies. If you install the mod using CCAN, which I would recommend, don't have to worry about that. But if you download it manually like I did, then you got to download a couple of dependencies. I believe one of the dependencies for this is called the Singularity mod. There's a couple of others as well. But anyway, it adds this wormhole, which is going to allow us to teleport to the DebDeb system. So let's go down and do that. Yeah, I got a bit trigger happy with the time warp button, so it was pretty much instant. But here we are. Where are we? Oh my goodness, we have traversed great distances in the blink of an eye. Because if we look around us, past Matt, who's filming this video, if we can look around us, aha! There is a planet. That's not Dres. That's no moon. That's a planet. That it's not a planet in the Kerbal system. We must be in the DebDeb system. So yes, we're in the DebDeb system. How exciting is this? It was the first promised additional star system that was going to be added to Kerbal Space Program 2 before the development of that game was stopped, and it would have been added to the game after early access, along with interstellar scale parts and presumably the next level of time warp, which was always grayed out on KSP's UI with no way to activate it. Okay, KSP2's UI, I should say. Before, yeah. Anyway, the only confirmed celestial bodies in the DebDeb system, I'm talking about the KSP2 version of DebDeb right now, from innermost to outermost, there was Char, Gurdamma with its moon Donk, and Glumo with its moons, of which Merbel is the only one we have a name for. Other unconfirmed planets were Ovin, Lapat, Axod, and Dorau, and so naturally all of these have been implemented into the Promised Worlds DebDeb system, along with a few others inserted to kind of flesh things out a bit further. The KSP Wiki has a very nice summary about the DebDeb star itself and the system characteristics, so I'm just going to James Summerton this and read the description to you now. DebDeb appears to be a very young star, estimated to be only 5 to 50 million years old, and appears to be more orange than Kerbal. This means it could be a K-type star, meaning it would be smaller than Kerbal. It is still young enough to have remnants of the planetary disk now condensed and formed into a planetary debris disk and inner and outer asteroid belts. If DebDeb is modelled and heavily inspired by Alpha Centauri, which, by the way, guys, I don't know if you know this, is the closest galaxy to the Milky Way in real life, it could be assumed that DebDeb is around 3 to 5 light years away. The system moves in a circle-style configuration with a radius of 0.3 units. The system is offset by 0.5 x-axis and minus 2.5 z-axis units from Kerbal, making it the closest of the other star systems and roughly analogous in position to Alpha Centauri. And with that, my quoting of the wiki is over, and as a personal insert, I wonder if the devs purposefully picked a K-type star purely because of the fact that a lot of Kerbalized things are respelled with a K instead of whatever the first letter would have been of the real-life things. You got Kerbanaut, Kethane, or Kethane for non-British people, Geostationary, etc., etc. But yeah, oh my gosh, I haven't even talked about, we've gone down to this planet. So, guys, this is Gurdamma. Now, this is supposed to be a young Kerbin. Basically, it's inspired by Earth's Hadean era. So it's supposed to be like in the beginnings of having life, but not complex life yet. But if you were to leave it for a long time, it would become Kerbin-like. And we have these volcanoes here with volumetric cloud plumes. So I thought, let's try and fly close to one, which ended up being almost a giant mistake. Are you ready? Oh, so it's not just the smoke, you know, the ash clouds stuff. They also have heat, so I said, let's not land here, let us land somewhere else. Now, I had a little bit of a chat with some of the developers of the Promised Worlds mod, and one of the devs told me that Gurdamma is meant to be like a proto-Kerbin and has awesome fault lines and the volcanic stuff, and every 1.5 years Gurdamma has a volcanic winter. So if you land on the surface and time warp forward, it's really dramatic. The entire planet gets engulfed in volcanic ash. Now, I didn't end up showcasing this in this video because, again, I kind of had to rapid fire through a lot of things. I wanted to showcase lots and lots of planets, so I didn't really want to dwindle too long on the surface of any place, but you can download this mod from the link in the description and have a fun old time, basically. So yeah, in terms of how this planet compares to Kerbin, which looking at it, obviously, it's very similar, I guess, and I've just said it's meant to be like a proto-Kerbin. In terms of how it compares to Kerbin, it has a slightly thicker atmosphere, but is slightly smaller. It's 580 kilometers with 1.1 atmos. Now, although that makes it sound like it would be about as easy to reach orbit of Gurdamma as it is, you know, to reach orbit of Kerbin, there is one kind of crucial caveat in that Gurdamma does not have an oxygenated atmosphere, so air-breathing engines are out. So it's kind of like not quite the same challenge as Eve, but the same kind of challenge as Eve, where you have to contend with ascending through the atmosphere if you want to get back. And obviously, unlike Eve, which is very close to Kerbin, to get to and from Gurdamma, you have to kind of have to go all the way to Dres, which is still quite far away from Kerbin, or obviously the vast interstellar distance from the Kerbal system to the DebDeb system. So yeah, overall a bit more challenging than Eve, I think it's fair to say. So yeah, I said that this is going to be like Kerbin in the Hadean Eon, well, you know, Earth in the Hadean Eon. But if you don't know what that is, it's basically the first and oldest geologic eon in Earth's history. It spans from around 4.6 billion to 4 billion years ago, and it's characterized by the formation of the Earth, a molten surface, and the development of the atmosphere and the oceans. And here we are. We have touched down on the surface of Gurdamma. We've got these lovely, like, what are they called again? They're like Giant's Causeway, aren't they? Hang on, let me just, let the cogs turn. Basalt columns, that's it, actually. I got as far as remembering the term salt column. Like, it's not salt, there's some prefix there. So I just Googled Giant's Causeway, and then the rubbish Google AI thing said it's a basalt formation. So there you go. It was the AI's fault. It was blame AI slop if I'm incorrect, but it looks like that. Yeah, if you don't know, by the way, Giant's Causeway is a basalt formation off the coast of Ireland. Very fun. I say that as some sort of authority, as if I've been. I've never been to Ireland. I'd like to go. It's like our closest neighbour in terms of, I live in the United Kingdom, and the Republic of Ireland is not technically part of, well, I don't say technically, it is not part of the United Kingdom. So it's like our closest foreign country, I guess. I guess for me, because I live in the south of England, probably France is geographically closer, but whatever. Ireland is a very close neighbour of ours. And I've always wanted to go. I'd love to go check out Dublin. I want to go to Galway. So my plan, I've been thinking about this. We were planning out, we were going to go fly to Dublin, or get the boat to Dublin, whatever's easiest, and then get the train to Galway, and then visit. There's a theme park I want to go to that I don't remember the name of. It's like Emerald Hill or something. No, that's a Sonic 2 level, isn't it? Anyway, whatever. I'd like to go to Ireland at some point, so make sure you like and share the video. Join my Patreon, and hey, we can get that funded, maybe. That was so tacky. I'm so sorry, guys. So yeah, now we have finished with the surface of Gurdamma. I keep calling it Gurdamma. It's Gurdamma with a M. So there you are. I don't know, guys, I'm sorry. Right, anyway, so here we go, taking off from the surface of Gurdamma. So Gurdamma is a pretty trivial place for us to visit with this, again, infinite range SSTO craft that I've engineered, because, again, I didn't want to worry about fuel levels and trying to plan things efficiently. I just wanted to rapid fire lots of cool destinations. So I set out, I wanted to visit 4 cool places. So I actually asked some of the developers of Promised Worlds and some of the people who are part of the Promised Worlds Discord server what places they recommended. And they recommended this place because I guess this is the planet you get spat out of if you use the wormhole, and it's a pretty interesting place. They also recommended Lapat because it's the only oxygenated, well, it's the only place in the DebDeb system that has an oxygenated atmosphere, so the Kerbals could remove their helmets, get a nice breath of fresh air on their kind of years-long interstellar trip. They also recommended Char because it's a very interesting kind of celestial body, very warm as the name might suggest, and it's a vacuum body as well. There's no atmosphere, and a lot of the I think most of the places in the DebDeb system, don't quote me on that, have atmospheres. So Char is kind of unique in that sense. And then they recommended Merbel as well, which is one of the moons of Glumo. It's going to be one of the next places we visit, actually, because Merbel is one of the most visually beautiful places, and it's also featured a lot in the Kerbal Space Program 2 initial cinematic trailer. So I'll kind of talk about that as we get there. But right now, we are reaching orbit of Gurdamma. And I mentioned earlier, all the way back in the day when we were orbiting Dres, I said I kind of left things last minute here, guys. And there was a good reason for that. I actually allocated a lot of time to work on this video, but here we're about to go interplanetary in the DebDeb system. And as you can see, disaster! The game hath crashed. And this wasn't the only time I tried this. I tried again and again to leave the Gurdamma system, and the game would always crash and freeze. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I messaged the devs that I was talking to. I was like, do you guys know about this? What's happening here? And they were like, oh, that's weird. And then they tried it, and they were getting crashes as well. And we were like, what the devil is happening here? So I'm like, guys, I've got to get this video made today. And if I can't get interplanetary, I'm going to have to just focus the video on the Gurdamma system, which would be kind of a shame, really. And they were like, that would be kind of a shame. So they jumped to it, trying to figure out what was happening. And in the meantime, like on screen, this was my final attempt at leaving the system. Like I did try going at non-warp speeds as well, and the speed I was going didn't make a difference. Here I am now, going with Plan B, which is going to Donk, which is the biggest moon of Gurdamma. It appears to be an airless moon with a heavily cratered surface, although it does have a very thin atmosphere in the Promised Worlds mod. It also appears to be a somewhat large moon due to how round it is and the relatively small size of its craters. Donk likely originated after an impact between Gurdamma and another planet in the DebDeb system. And speaking of impacts, that was my only landing attempt. I was planning on, I reloaded a quick save to reattempt the landing, but then I had a Discord ping from those devs I was talking to earlier, and they said they found the fix. It's to do with the Community Fixes mod, which, by the way, guys, I highly recommend you install if you haven't. But that mod includes, here we are, a fix for the maneuver tool. The reason it includes this fix is because the stock maneuver tool can cause severe lag and stutter issues, especially with Copernicus and modified systems, of which this mod is. But for whatever reason, enabling this fix breaks what's it even called? The Promised Worlds mod. So I've turned it off, and as you can see, aha! We can exit the Gurdamma system and traverse the rest of the DebDeb system, which I tried out in this test, trying to get to our next intended destination. In my excitement, I forgot to film the burn that's going to get us there. I feel like it's not that bad, right? Because we are using infinite fuel and all that, so, like, it's not like a big deal you guys missed this, but whatever. We are now going to our next destination, which is Glumo. Well, specifically, we're going to one of Glumo's moons, the aforementioned Merbel. So again, I read the KSP wiki page for Merbel and Glumo and kind of I'm going to summarize it here, basically. So this is what we know about what it would have been like in the KSP2 Interstellar release, based on what we saw of it in the trailers and the dev diaries, or rather, whoever wrote the KSP wiki article gathered from those things that I'm now going to summarize for you. So yes, it would have been a frozen moon orbiting Glumo, which, based on the KSP2 trailer footage, would have been a highly inclined one. And, you know, it's got a very highly inclined orbit in the Promised Worlds mod. Merbel shares a lot of similarities with Lathe, which, as we know, is in the stock Kerbal system, since they're both moons of a gas giant with liquid oceans, possibly made of water, and they both have blue atmospheres, which could be oxygen-rich. It is not oxygen-rich in the Promised Worlds mod, but it might have been in KSP2 if it was ever finished, you know. Merbel's landforms are mostly covered with ice, and its oceans are comprised of unknown liquid possibilities, include water, ammonia, or nitrogen. The composition of its atmosphere is unknown, but, you know, again, it could be oxygenated. It's not in this mod, but it might have been. Again, a lot of speculation had to be applied with the Promised Worlds mod. Data mining was used to try and learn some of the characteristics of the planets and moons. I don't know which ones were confirmed for certain, but yeah. And then I have a little bit about Glumo as well. So Glumo is a Saturn analog. You can sort of see it on the right-hand side of your screen right now, located in what would likely have been the DebDeb system, and has quite the collection of rings. Rings close to the planet are mostly pale brown and have nearly no gaps between each ring segment. However, the more distant rings are bluish in colour and have large gaps between the ring segments. Glumo's rings also seem to be bigger than Saturn's. So there we are. Thank you, KSP Wiki. Very cool. Anyway, now we are here we are. Well, I'm not in low. I'm about to call it Glumo. Glow Merbel orbit. I've got a piece of paper in front of me, guys, with the names of the planets that I visited, because I know I'm just going to forget. Because I was about to say they're alien to me, these words, but I guess literally they are. As are the moons and planets in stock KSP, right? But I'm just saying, wow, look at those firefly effects. I've just noticed it's like a greenish purple hue. Don't know how I didn't spot that when I was filming this. I think I was just getting stressed. Like, I gotta get this filmed. Now I've got Interplanetary Unlocked, and like, I've only got like 2 hours of the day left to film this, and I've still got like time to record the. Don't worry about my life, guys. I'm not gonna burn you with the stress of that. But yes, I spied this little area up ahead, which is nice and flat. So this looked like a good spot to land. I can't remember if I mentioned this in the commentary now, so I'm just going to mention it again. Merbel is in the very first KSP2 trailer that we all saw and all got excited for. The final shot where there are those big colonies where the Kerbals are looking out over the vast alien city, and then the colonies all start collapsing, and then the camera pans up to show the KSP2 logo. That's on Merbel. So there we are. This is one of the few places where we have lots of admittedly pre-rendered, and as we know from that first trailer, a lot of it was just artistic liberties were being made. It's one of the few places we have actual kind of air quotes footage of. But yeah, here we are coming down for a nice smooth touchdown. Here we go. Those kind of stock stones. That was a great bit of non-information. Those kind of slabs on the surface do have collision, so I have to try and be careful to not try and impact any of them. Oh, there's kind of one there, so try and pitch up to avoid it. And then we can touch down here, and I think we should be in the clear. We've got a lot of landing gear on this thing, so we can apply lots of braking force. And we've got air brakes. I think one way in which I could have improved this SSTO would have been either some retro rockets, because again, the fuel is of no concern to us, or, some parachutes. I don't know. Anyway, we've got Bill Kerman out on EVA. It would be nice to get all 4 Kerbals out on EVA for every single destination, but you know what I mean? We got to get things moving. We've got to get the video flowing. So I thought instead of doing all 4 on EVA every single time we land somewhere, we'll just get a different Kerbal out on EVA for each of our 4 destinations. So Jebediah's performed a landing. He did the flag planting on, let me get my piece of paper, what's it even called again? Gurdamma. And now we have Bill Kerman here on the surface of Merbel. And we've taken a surface sample as well. And if you wanted to pause the video and read it, go right ahead. My plan was I'll pause the editing and I can just dictate it, but it's just, we've got to keep things moving. I'm aware now, what did I say earlier? It's now 10 to 8, and time is ticking, guys. I haven't even had dinner yet. I'm going to be cooking tonight. It's my turn to cook. So it's going to be a late one for me and my partner. So we'll have to, just injecting a little bit of personal struggles into this commentary. So yeah, unfortunately, the gravity of these planets and moons are so high that the Kerbals can't really board their seats again using the free IVA mod, because they've got to clear that big step in the Mark III cabin, which they just can't. So that's a shame. Anyway, let us now take off from the surface of Merbel and start thinking about our next destination, which is going to be Lapat. But we'll cover that a bit more, as we get there. I did want to say, actually, I didn't spend too much time dwelling on it because we never actually landed on it. And I wanted to keep the video moving. But, I mentioned earlier, I thought about landing on Donk, which was the biggest planet of Gurdamma, before we got interplanetary working again. I wrote down a few things about Donk from the wiki, including we have a full quote from Nate Simpson, who actually described it in great detail. So this is canon. So Nate Simpson says, of Donk and Gurdamma as a whole, he said, the story that we're trying to tell with Gurdamma is that it's similar to Earth during the Hadeon I don't know, I've kind of already said this, guys, but this is a direct quote from him. The story we're trying to tell with Gurdamma is that it's similar to Earth during the Hadeon Eon, relatively shortly after the formation of the moon. I was actually pretty surprised myself, when I say I mean Nate in this context, how close the moon was immediately after its formation. 16 times larger in the sky than today, and just a whisker beyond the Roche limit. We are still making adjustments to the distance of Gurdamma's moon, but it'll still be both close and fast orbiting, and Gurdamma has a very short day. Obviously, they never did finish that. I'm guessing maybe they didn't. It's buried in some server somewhere, those files, but well, I guess we'll never know. And yeah, on that again, rather sad note, we have finished our Ascent burn. It's all kind of a bit sad, the Promised Worlds mod. Like, yeah, it's great. We got these places, but it's also like, man, KSP2 was so tragic, wasn't it? I was so looking forward to it. I mean, obviously I had a vested interest, like, this is gonna extend my career. But I like to think, KSP has still got a lot of life left in it. Like, for a game as old as it is, like, it turned 10 years old this year from its 1.0 release, and it first came out in 2013, I think, in early access. It's been out a while, but it still regularly breaks the top 100 sellers on Steam, which is a pretty amazing feat, to be honest. And I guess some company has bought it, and they are keeping the KSP wiki alive, and they're keeping the KSP forums live, and in fact, they recently updated both of them. So maybe there is some life somewhere. I very much doubt KSP2 is ever going to see redevelopment just because the IP is so toxic at this point. Like, they would just need to burn it all to the ground and make KSP3, or probably not include a numerical thing, just like Kerbal Space Evolved or something. I don't know. I would say that I'm no developer and I don't have any experience in making things, but actually, that is no longer true. You see, when I was talking to the devs of Promised Worlds, trying to figure out why Interplanetary wasn't working, we were kind of troubleshooting together. I was sending over my save files that were crashing so we could try and recreate it and stuff. And when they solved it, they have now updated it. So what you're seeing on screen is an outdated version of this mod. The new update was pushed today following my discovery of that bug, and so I have on screen, it shows a credit in the patch notes for Kerbal Space Program Promised Worlds version 1.14. So there we are. You're welcome, I guess. If that's not worthy of a little like on the video and a subscribe and a comment, then I frankly don't know what is. Oh yeah, I should mention I just abandoned my idea of doing like just direct warp burns to each planet and moon in this mod, because again, I didn't want to kind of jinx interplanetary space breaking at really high speeds, because you've got those big dust clouds the game has to render that aren't there in stock KSP. And also, like, this is how you can kind of get here, guys. We are going there very inefficiently, admittedly, but I don't know, I guess this is kind of somewhat closer to if you were using a non-Kraken powered craft. I hope you guys are okay with this. I was a bit torn, like, I don't know if people are going to be super on board with me using a Cal drive, but I really want to showcase lots of different places, and I had 2 days to make this video, guys. Like, I really didn't have the time to, like, source an interplanetary or interstellar. Well, I didn't have time to source a mod that would add the appropriate fuel tanks and engines to go fully interstellar and properly explore and have enough fuel left over. And actually, that's really it. And also, I didn't know what any of the Delta V requirements were for any of the places in this mod, as you will discover later on when I had huge issues landing on Char. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to showcase the mod and never to worry about the craft not working. Then we're stuck and I couldn't showcase what I wanted to showcase. So that's that, really. And speaking of showcasing places, we are arriving at our next destination. This is I'm opening up my little notepad file again. This is the planet Lapat. I think it's pronounced that way. Lapat. Lapat, I don't know. But here's what the KSP Wikipedia page has to say about Lapat. So, Lapat would have been an exoplanet in Kerbal Space Program 2. Lapat is the only revealed exoplanet shown to have vegetation, though this may not have been the case in the final release. Lapat seems to be located in the DebDeb system, which is too young to support complex life. Lapat has a rusty red surface and a blue, cloudy, possibly breathable atmosphere. Since Gurdamma is an analogue of early Earth, Lapat may be intended as an analogue of early Mars. End of reading the Wikipedia to you guys. So yeah, that's Lapat, and you can kind of see the Mars similarity. I guess not really. It kind of looks like Juna, right? Because it's got giant poles. Juna has really, really large north and south poles compared to Mars's north and south poles. So I guess that's kind of similar there. And we've got that ocean there and everything. So again, the kind of speculation was that it might have a breathable atmosphere, but we don't know. But the developers of Promised Worlds decided that yes, it in fact does have a breathable atmosphere. And so this, I think, I'm like 99% sure, is the only location in the Promised Worlds mod, at least for now. They are planning on adding other systems, including the Tune system, I think it is. That was going to be like the next system that was going to be added to KSP2's Interstellar additions that never came to fruition. So maybe in those new the star systems going forward, there'll be oxygenated planets. But right now, this is the only one. So, yeah, if you wanted to visit, you could bring things like rapier engines and use rapier engines to kind of make flying around here a lot easier. I don't know. Anyway, this is this is Lapat. So I kind of aim for kind of a flat-ish region. I wanted to land near the coast because, don't know, it's more picturesque, I guess, isn't it? Having a nice ocean view on our landing. Maybe because I live in a city by the ocean as well. I live in Plymouth, which has the tagline of, no, let me get this right. It's called Britain's Ocean City. It didn't use, this is kind of funny and not relevant to this video at all, but whatever. I'm going to tell this story because I have to fill the time somehow, right? It used to be called Plymouth, City of Discovery, because it's kind of famously where the city in which the founding father set off to the Americas to set up a new life over there. And so it's called the City of Discovery. The issue was that all the signs going into Plymouth say, "Welcome to Plymouth, City of Discovery." But people kept vandalizing the signs. It would say, "Plymouth, City of Disco," which is hilarious to me. And so they changed it. So now it's Britain's Ocean City. So there you go, a fun little fact. But I don't even know if it's a fact. It sounds like it's probably one of those like old wives' tales, and that isn't really the reason why they changed it, but I like to believe it. And it sounds believable because what does Britain's Ocean City even mean? There are lots of cities on the ocean in Britain. We're an island. So, not quite sure. You know, I feel like City of Discovery is a lot more fitting. So, I feel like the story checks out, you know? Anyway, we have now... Whoa, wait for it. We have now come to a full stop on the rusty surface of this planet, Lapat. So yeah, kind of a bit of a shimmering... Oh, we got some rainfall just there. Great thing I just time warped through it and then didn't think to time warp back again and try and show some more weather, but whatever. You guys have seen rain before, I guess, I hope, at some point in your lives. But yeah, kind of a shimmering effect on the surface. This mod is still in development. One of the things I'm hoping will get ironed out is that you might have noticed during kind of traversing interplanetary space with time warp, the kind of dust clouds, they kind of shimmer and look a bit glitchy. That might get ironed out as the mod continues to be worked on. I also didn't realize that Bob Kerman was kind of clipping into this rock when he planted the flag there, so that looked kind of weird. But hey ho, we must press on and continue our journey. And yeah, guys, so I mentioned earlier, again, when we were orbiting Dres, that I didn't have that much time to edit this video together because I kind of left it a bit too late anyway. There's a story in this. Maybe I can tell this story now. I bought the Lego Death Star, not the new stupid $1,000 one. That looks dumb. But there was like, I saw on like the Lego subreddit, whatever was complaining about how stupid the new Death Star set is. That there was a gift with purchase Death Star that was really cool. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I want to buy that. But to buy it, Lego aren't selling it. It was a gift with purchase, which is something I've always hated. Like, hey, we're going to make this really cool set that you can never buy. You just have to spend £200 with us in this specific month, and then you can never have it ever again. And so I felt no shame in buying the knockoff version from AliExpress for $7.99, and I built it. And there it is on screen. That's my... not AliExpress Lego model. Lego, I would happily buy this from you if you put it on sale, but I'm not paying some scalper on eBay £100 for it. So yeah, that's something I built. But I built that yesterday when I should have really been working on filming KSP. But I was like, I'll be all right on the night, don't worry about it. So, and then here we are, we were left with very limited time. But the other reasons that I'm now going to tell you that I had a limited time for was basically, I had that whole kerfuffle with the interplanetary travel wasn't working, it was crashing the game, so I had to troubleshoot that with the developers, which took a significant amount of time. And I started recording, me doing plan B, which is visiting the moon Donk, and I was filming all of that, and then I didn't realize that the devs had then fixed the issue with going into planetary. So that was just a big waste of time, basically. So there was that. And also going to our final destination of Char. I wasn't even planning on going to Char, but the devs were like, no, honestly, it's really cool. It's a vacuumless, it's a celestial body with no atmosphere, so it's a vacuum, and it's a really cool place. It's one of the places where I actually have photos of what it would have looked like in KSP2. You should go there, it's really cool. I'm like, all right, I'll just go here for the giggles. And this almost broke me. I almost abandoned it, saying, guys, I don't think it's possible for this craft to land on Char. Like, I genuinely don't think it is. Its gravity is too high. The craft just falls apart as soon as you touch down on the surface. So this took a shameful amount of time. Like, it probably took about half an hour just to do the landing and like land on the planet, which was an unexpected addition to the very limited time budget, or it was a very unexpected cost to the very limited time budget, I guess would be a better way of wording that. But yeah, Char is a bit like Moho in the stock KSP system, in that it's very, very close to the sun. So, you know, I say sun as like a generic term here. Of course, in this instance, I mean DebDeb. Now, fun fact, when Promised Worlds first came out, I think the devs just told me that it wasn't possible to land on it initially, which I interpreted to mean during the first releases of this mod, or maybe they just meant a pre-release build. I don't know. But either way, it used to be impossible to land on because the heat of DebDeb would just destroy any craft that approached Char, basically. It's called Char, I guess, because it's got a charred surface because it is very close to the star of DebDeb. So, yeah, it's a tricky old place, but that's not the real reason why it's so tricky. The reason is it's massive. I assumed it was going to be like Moho, which is like... It's like, I don't know how big Moho is. It's quite easy to land on Moho. The challenge of Moho is just getting there because it's so close to the sun. It takes a huge amount of delta V to circularize around it. Char has that challenge, but Char is also massive. It's like bigger than Tylo, I think. So like, it's essentially like landing on an atmosphereless Kerbin or even an atmosphereless Eve. I can't remember the exact numbers, but you can see when we're in low Char orbit, you can see our orbital velocity, and it's higher than orbital velocity in low Kerbin orbit. So that gives you an idea of how difficult it is to land on. So good thing I did bring a Cal controller overclocked vehicle, because there was no way in heck I would be able to land on this place in addition to the other places we've landed on in this video. Now again, I have got a little thing I copied from the KSP wiki about Char, which I'm now going to once again James Summerton to you. So Char is an exoplanet that would have been added to Kerbal Space Program 2. It is the innermost confirmed planet of DebDeb. Little information on its size and the properties is known, but in the Promised Worlds mod, it is one of the... Oh, I must have reworded this. I thought I just copied it into a Word document for me to read, but obviously maybe I didn't just read the wiki verbatim then. Maybe I should have given myself credit. Okay, whatever. So I have obviously written this based on stuff I read on the wiki, but yes. So I wrote, little information on its size and properties is known, but in the Promised Worlds mod, it is one of the toughest places to visit. The speculation section of the KSP wiki describes it as... So I obviously scripted this to make reference to the wiki. This is like a good behind the scenes moment for you guys, right? You're now seeing how the sausage is made, and that I have no idea what I'm doing sometimes. Let us continue reading this script that I wrote and have subsequently forgotten, basically. The speculation section of the KSP wiki. Oh, actually, before I'm going to go any further, here's a failed landing attempt. I first of all tried to land in one of these, what the biome is called molten craters. And I guess they're called molten craters for good reason, because the ship almost overheated and exploded before it even touched down. So I'm guessing they're impossible to land on. So this is now another attempt at landing. There were lots of failed attempts, guys. So basically, you're going to see a few stealth quick loads where suddenly the UI changes in position because I've reloaded a quick save, just because I wanted to show a seamless descent. But honestly, it took me so many attempts. I might make like a blooper reel for my second channel and publish them there, or make it available for patrons or members. I don't know yet. So yeah, look out for that if I make that in the end. But yeah, it took so many attempts. I almost rage quit and said, it's not possible on this craft, because unlike a conventional lander, we don't have landing legs that will immediately take the impact as we touch down. We have to basically kill off all of our velocity, but we're vertical. So then the ship's going to have to flop over and land on its wheels. And just that act meant that we'd be touching down way too hard. So basically we've got to come to a complete stop millimeters off the surface, so that then the kind of belly flop maneuver is as quick as possible, and therefore the amount of force being enacted on the landing gear is as low as possible, because the ship fell from the lowest possible height, if that makes sense. And we had to contend with all of this surface scatter, which are, you know, lots of places where things can just get crashed into and just rip the ship apart. So here we go. This is the landing. Oh, I had the brakes on maximum as well. So yeah, and I had to use the warp engines as well. I've been trying to light it. I've sometimes there's me celebrating the landing by moving the camera around excitedly. So yeah, here we are on Char. So I'm going to now continue reading that script that I wrote. So where did I even get to? Oh yeah, the speculation section of the KSP wiki. describes Char as an airless, heat-blasted world of iron. Char is likely rich in iron and other materials, which may make it an excellent body for resource extraction. This may give players an incentive to go to Char, despite its proximity and likely high temperature and Delta V requirements. But it was no match for our ship, which of course is powered by cheats, essentially. Like, I don't think it's quite the same as using the infinite fuel cheat, but it's kind of close, isn't it? This is just more about having fun exploring. This is like No Man's Sky type thing. Well, I've bought No Man's Sky, by the way, guys, so I've been thinking of doing like some videos of that. Is that something you guys want to watch? Let me know. I'll probably do like a playthrough, like in multiplayer with my girlfriend, so she's bought the game too. So yeah, that's just a thing there. Now, we're going to now do the greatest takeoff you're going to see in this entire video, and possibly on this channel as a whole. So I'm not going to say anything for the takeoff. I just want you to witness the glory of it. I then, after doing that, I immediately felt I had to open the cheat menu just to showcase that I did not in fact have, no crash damage enabled or anything like that, because that felt very, very sketchy. I mean, I guess I have no way of like proving that I didn't modify parts or anything, but then I wouldn't be drawing attention to it, right? But yeah, that was the stupidest takeoff ever. I'm so glad it worked though. So yeah, now we're just going to perform our, I guess, complete the burn that's going to get us to Char orbit, and then I was quite happy with that. We've done our 4 landings. Each of our 4 Kerbals has managed to go on an EVA and plant a little flag, take a surface sample and all that. Actually, I think I forgot to gather surface samples from everywhere, but this is a save file that has a fully unlocked tech tree, so the amount of science we get doesn't really matter. It's all kind of there for show, I guess. Well, I guess this is for a video, right? So the whole thing was for show, but whatever, I'm just saying, you know? So I guess now we're on the cooler side of Char, and there we are. The camera did that annoying flip that AutoCam does, which tells us that we are now in orbit. So now we need to get back to Kerbin. But first things first, we need to get back to the anomaly. Well, I say the anomaly, the wormhole. The wormhole is called an anomaly in this mod pack, but whatever, it's a wormhole, isn't it? And that is orbiting Gurdamma. So we need to go back to Gurdamma. And to make things easier, we're currently in a polar orbit around Char, or kind of an essentially polar orbit. So now we've corrected that. So now we're equatorial, so it's going to be a little bit easier to plot a maneuver that's going to get us back to Gurdamma, and therefore back to the wormhole, that's therefore going to take us back to Kerbin. Yes, we're nearing the end. I'm relieved because like it's always quite stressful having to like sit here. I sit down in my chair. I'm like, right, I've looked at my timeline. Like I don't edit these videos and commentate. I know some people like they'll commentate a bit, then edit the next bit, and then commentate again. I just edit the whole thing, so it's all like nice and punchy and snappy. And then I just sit here and have to commentate over what I've edited. Like sometimes I'll make changes, like if I'm mid tangent. Sometimes I'll catch the fact that there was something on screen I should have addressed, so I'll delete that last bit of commentary and then address the thing on screen and then continue. I actually did that in this video. You know, when I showcased that failed landing on Char where my ship was about to overheat and explode, I was talking about something else, and I watched the footage back and I was like, probably would be a good idea to address that as it's happening. So then I re-recorded that bit. So you see, guys, there is, believe it or not, there is a level of quality control that goes into these videos. So yeah, there's that. What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, it's that I sometimes do feel like a bit intimidated. So I sit down and be like, gosh, this video is an hour long. I have to sit here for an hour. Like, it's actually quite difficult to continue, like, keep an upbeat tone and not have any dead air and keep things snappy and entertaining when I'm basically just sitting in a room on my own looking at a screen. Like, it's I'm just staring at this microphone that's like right up to my face as if to mock to me, saying, yes, go on, keep talking, be entertaining. And, you know, I try my best. I know the world's smallest violin is playing right now, saying, oh, where is me doing a job that so many people would love to have. And I'm so grateful I'm in this position. I hope I'm still in this position. I don't know if the viewpocalypse is a thing still. I said in my last video that, oh, my views are down. My views are down, guys. It's really bad. And then that video did kind of well. Like, it still didn't do very well. Like, at the time you're recording this, it's at 63,000 views, that's actually really bad for my channel. Like, normally it would have broken 100,000. At this point, for that kind of video with that kind of thumbnail, I would expect 100,000 views on that. So I don't think I'm fully out of the woods yet, but maybe it's a sign of a trend. Like, it wasn't catastrophically in the toilet, like, oh my gosh, this is not sustainable. Like, I didn't quit the day job, but I did go down part-time because a video like this is like a full work day plus a bit more in terms of the amount of hours. So before I went part-time, I was just doing KSP every evening, every day of the week, 7 days a week, and I had no life, basically. So now I have a level of work-life balance by being part-time in the day job. But I obviously then, if I'm not getting paid for the YouTube side of things, I won't be able to afford the house that I live in. So I was like, oh my gosh, do I talk to my boss and say, I need to go back to full-time because my YouTube has decided that it doesn't want me to have food anymore. So yeah. So hopefully this is a sign that I can continue with this. But who knows? Oh, here we are. Going back through the wormhole, by the way. I'm sorry, guys. I hate burdening my issues on you. Like, I don't want to make people to feel bad for not watching videos. Like, I totally get it. Like, I'm subscribed to a bunch of channels where I don't watch a lot of the videos they make. I'll just watch the odd one here and there. And that's great. If you are here, if you subscribe and watch one video of mine every 2 years, and that's it, welcome aboard, I say. I really don't want to pressure people into not watching videos. Like, I don't want to be that guy. But it's more like, this is just a thing that's been worrying me. Like, oh no, has YouTube decided that actually, this Matt Lowne fella, we don't like him. Let's just, his videos, let's just, no, you know? So I mentioned when I went through the wormhole the very first time in this video, all those hours ago, I just time warped really quickly, and so I didn't really get to see what the effect looked like. So now, we're not time warping. So you can kind of see what the wormhole effect looks like. It looks kind of weird, I guess. I guess it would be cool to time warp a little bit, just so it's not taking too long. I think I do eventually time warp during this, because it starts getting a bit samey. But yeah, oh! Something just changed. The camera just changed. I think it looks like we're exiting. That looks like the Kerbal system skybox. Or was the skybox even different? I don't know. Maybe just the interplanetary dust clouds made the skybox look different in DebDeb. Either way, we seem to be on the tail end of things. Here we go. Oh, there we go. So I'm just time warping now. Just try and get things moving along. Arriving at the Kerbal system. And here we are. Escaping the wormhole that is orbiting Dres. And there we are. Now, it looks like the same principle as Portal applies here, where speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out. Or in this case, slow thing comes out, slow thing goes in, slow thing comes out. We're basically on a trajectory that's going to plunge us straight into the sun. So I need to do a bit of a big burn so that we don't do that, and instead we encounter Kerbin. And luckily, you know, this is a very expensive burn, but luckily, Delta V is of no concern to us because this ship has a cal drive. Now this is kind of concerning, the amount of fuel this would have taken. So I really don't think I could do a Promised Worlds video again without having an Interstellar parts mod, like adds really efficient, powerful engines for going Interstellar. And maybe I'll avoid using the wormhole. I'll try and just do it, air quotes, properly. Who knows how I'm going to tackle it? I'll have to maybe watch some other videos of people that do these kinds of mods more, so they got more experience than me in these big Interstellar missions. I don't know. If you guys have any recommendations of good channels, let me know in the comments. And if I watch it and think it's good and it's helped me, I will of course give that person a little shout out, because, you know, I love shouting out creators every now and then. To be honest, I don't do it. The reason I don't just shout out smaller creators a lot is because there's no way of saying this without sounding supremely arrogant, but guys, nobody is better than me. No, that's not what I was going to say. It's that I don't generally watch other KSP creators, because I'm like, KSP basically is a job for me, so I'll like sit down, play KSP and all that, and then when I want to relax, I don't really then want to watch someone else playing KSP. I want to just do some of my own time. But I occasionally like see a thumbnail and title that get me intrigued, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting, I might give that a watch. And one channel I've been an enjoyer of recently is oh god, I'm gonna get his name wrong. Bogue, I think it is. No, I'm gonna Google this now because I don't want to butcher it and get it wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Bogue. It's Bogue. Yes, YouTube is coming up with suggestions to that. No, it's autocorrected to Vogue, like Vogue magazine. Let's type in Bogue Kerbal Space Program. There we are. Yeah, Bogue. Only 6,000 subscribers. Go show him some love. I'll probably put a link to his channel in the description if I remember. Yeah, I've been enjoying his videos a lot. They've been great little fun, and it's been like, yeah, I should probably do that in my videos, and I keep forgetting to do that. So yeah, go check that out. It's a good little channel. And but yeah, there aren't many channels I kind of watch because, again, KSP is like my job, so I don't really tend to watch them. But yes, I will of course give shout outs if I learn something from an Interstellar person on YouTube who does KSP Interstellar. You know, where are we now? We're 50. Wait for it. We're now 54 minutes into the video, so you know what can I say? I'm flagging here. Now, I did say that we were at 54 minutes, but of course that's not true for some of you. For some of you will be watching this on Patreon or my YouTube member. I feel like I'm doing all the plugging at the wrong time of the video, right? I should have been doing this earlier when everyone was here, but now there's only like 5 people left, but whatever. Yeah, if you're a Patreon member or indeed a member of my YouTube channel, then you'll have your own version of this video, which is shorter because there's no ads in it. So there you are. If there's a little plug for my Patreon page and my members program, you'll have your own version of this video and you'll have access to this craft file as well. It's kind of a complicated one to fly, so you might need to practice and just watch how I'm flying it to figure out how to do the controls. It's pretty intuitive, actually. I don't know why I'm saying this. But yeah, and then maybe one day you too could do this next step of the mission, which is landing back at the Kerbal Space Center. I didn't really do a fantastic job of this because there was lots of cloud cover, so I couldn't really see the landmarks I usually use when plotting a trajectory back to the Kerbal Space Center, where I use kind of the oceans and the locations of the desert peninsula and the mountain ranges to figure out what kind of trajectory I need. The clouds are there, so I had to sort of guess, and I guessed it kind of a bit wrong. I suddenly realized, looking at the map screen, oh my gosh, we are going to massively overshoot here. So I quickly had to flip retrograde and do a massive burn with our mainsail engine so that we do, in fact, end up back at the Kerbal Space Center. And even with this insane retrograde burn, we are going to have to do a very unrealistic and steep re-entry in order to make sure we do indeed touch down on the runway. But yeah, I guess because we are approaching our landing and therefore the completion of this mission, my very first Interstellar mission, in fact, I've ever done in Kerbal Space Program. 1 or 2, eh? Sad. Yeah, do you think I did the mod justice? Was there anything I should have done that I didn't do? Like a particular celestial body that you think would have been a better showcase than, say, I don't know, Char or Lapat or whatever it was I went to? They would have seen, and if I do another video of Promised Worlds, you want to see me go there instead, then let me know in the comment section below, as well as anything, you know. I do read my comment sections. People think that big YouTubers don't. I'm not just saying I'm a big YouTuber because that just sounds a bit arrogant, but I guess objectively speaking, in terms of my subscriber count, I'm one of the bigger ones when it comes to Kerbal Space Program exclusive content. So yeah, I do read my comments. I try and, like, you know, harp them and, you know, all that shebang, and I reply if there are questions. So yeah, the comment section down below is there for yours if you want it. Also in the comment section, of course, is a pinned comment down there from me with a link to mondly.app/MattLowne, which you can click to grab that 65% off lifetime deal while their back to school sale lasts. Thank you so much to Mondly for sponsoring. Guys, it is really hard for us to get companies to support us during this Viewpocalypse era, so I am super grateful for sponsors like Mondly. And, you know, I've used the app, obviously, and it was really fun, so do check it out. If you want to learn a new language, you can get that massive discount, again with my link. But it's not just Mondly that is owed a massive thank you, also the names on the right hand side of the screen, you guys, my Patreon supporters and YouTube channel members who, you know, I'm so grateful for your support, guys. If your name is there, again, you get access to ad-free versions of videos and the craft files, so joining down below, always very much appreciated from the bottom of my heart. But I hope you enjoyed this video and enjoy this mod if you choose to download it yourself. But that is the end, so thank you for watching and goodbye.